purpose of this workshop of today is to share experience between various players. There is representative of mining company, representative of international institution like African Bank Development. There's also representative of various players in commodities, and to exchange good and bad experience about local content in order to improve what has been put in place by company, what is also advised by International Monetary Fund, and what is also the expectation of representative of the state in terms of local content. The benefit, there is two ways of benefit. Depends if you are in state position or if you are in company position. Clearly, for the state, one of the better benefits of local content is the creation of employment. So in particular in sub-Saharan Africa, it's a huge issue. So local content can help to develop employment. It also helps to develop economically the country, because in local content you have aspect of training, employment, but also aspect of purchase, local goods and services. On a company perspective, local content is part of the general obligation that we can call RSE, responsabilité sociale et environnementale, and it's also mandatory under certain law. It depends in which country you invest. So in certain countries there's mandatory obligation in the law, and also in mining sector, oil sector, it's part of the legal requirement in a convention signed with the state. And the objective also for the company could be economic, because if you employ local people, and it can decrease the cost of your project, and the same if you provide goods and services locally. Generally, they are cheaper than if you import them, because there is no custom right and things like that. There is a lot of difficulty that policymakers can face, and if you look on employment, training, first thing is that in certain countries there is no sufficiently education system in place, so it's something that you have to look for, because the states need to provide the first step of education. A company can intervene, but after a certain level. If, for example, in mining sector, if you want to develop geological skills, people need to have basic skills at the beginning. So a company cannot create training at the beginning of the schoolship program. Regarding goods and services, various countries have an informal sector, which could be an issue for policymakers. So you can help your local company to be regularly registered, to have a formal sector, because a mining or oil company of international subsidiary of an international mining or oil company cannot use local SME which are not properly registered. It's interesting question. It's a hard question to answer. I think there is a lot of advice. I will just give some of them. It's what we are discussing today. It's the purpose of this workshop. One of the advice, first, when you elaborate a new law and you want to put in place local content, is maybe to exchange with the private sector. A dialogue is important, because if you enacted a law that is far away from the reality or far away from what the private sector expected, you will not reach the objective. So the dialogue is really important. Second thing is to have a clear and concrete point of view of what is your situation in a country. So be frank with yourself, and don't put in place objectives that are not reachable due to the fact that you don't have, for example, infrastructure to transport, or you don't have sufficiently school, or you don't have sufficiently training program. So I think the two main things is dialogue with private sector to identify what the objective can realistically reach, and second things, look inside your country what is your force, what is your default, what you need to develop, and in order to build an efficient local content. And the things I advise not to do is to put in place a strong local content directly without having a step to follow it. So I mean that if you arrive and you force the foreign company to employ directly 80% of local, as though you don't have people ready to be employed in country, it will not work.